The Q-chord allows players to play many songs quickly and easily, but some songs have challenges that can help a Q-chorder grow their musical skills. Let's look at one now as an example. Your Song was a big hit for Elton John in the early 1970s. I love this song, and I've saved my copy of the sheet music for decades, hoping to be able to play it. When I first started with the Q-chord, I pulled the sheet music out of storage and gave it a try, but I was disappointed because I couldn't make it sound right. So back into the cupboard it went. Then after developing the skills that are in my other quick tip videos, I tried the song again, but still had some problems. And this video talks about what new things I learned to get from sheet music to being able to play this song the way I wanted to. I had two challenges. Where the song called for chords that the Q-chord didn't supply, I wanted to go further than simple chord substitution so it would sound more like the original arrangement intended. And I wanted to be able to play its rhythm. I had already compiled a chord substitution guide for many chords not available on the Q-chord. So, for example, where the written arrangement uses an F6 chord, I knew to substitute its relative minor, the D minor. But this song had a chord progression with chords that aren't automatic lookups in my little guide. Before we continue, notice that the chords given in the sheet music for guitar are 3 half steps lower than for the piano, and then they're fretted up to match. I referred instead to the keyboard chords below the guitar chords when I studied this section so I could relate them back to the notes as written in the piano staff. Okay, so here's the progression of chords that needed work. C minor to C minor with a B flat bass note, to C minor with an A bass note, to A flat. The two chords in the middle were the challenges. I tried the old easy substitution here, but playing C minor all that time sounded dull, and then the A flat came too abruptly. I studied the notes in the piano staff and noticed that what's happening in these measures is that the right hand is playing the same pattern, all C minor notes, while the left hand is playing the bass notes to give a feeling of the song kind of going downhill. I had to figure out how to progress along and give a similar feeling of notes going downhill from the C minor to the A flat using chords that were available to me. Here are the original chords notes spelled out for easy reference. Using this handy chord chart that I bought, I scanned across its row of C chords looking for one that had most of the notes of C minor plus that B flat note, and I found the C minor 7th. The B flat is at the top instead of the bottom, but that's okay with a Q chord because I control where it sounds by how I strum on the strum plate. The Q chord plays 3 out of the 4 notes in any 7th, and I decided I could do without the G note sounding in this measure, so C minor 7th is a keeper. Then I scanned across the chart looking for a C minor chord that had the A note. Unfortunately, the chord that would work is the C minor 6, which isn't available on the Q chord. So, since I was looking for something with an A, I scanned across the A chord row and found A diminished chord and the A minor 7th. They're both candidates. I had good substitutes to try. Each chord would supply at least the C and the E flat, along with the bass note going downhill. Unfortunately, in the key of E flat, these A chords are difficult to get to and quickly get back to the A flat chord afterwards because they're not part of the key of E flat. So I went back to the chords that the Q chord had to offer in the C chord set, listening for one that sounded like it was lower than a C minor 7th chord. I found the C diminished chord worked just fine and was much easier to play than those A chords in this key. It's not the same sound, but it gives a similar effect. Finally, I transposed my selections to go with the guitar chords as written because that's the key I was going to actually play with my Q chord. Next, I needed to come up with a rhythm that was close to the way I remembered this song. I listened to the song as recorded by Elton John and I studied the piano staff for clues. You can see that even though it's written in 4/4 time, the rhythm has a kind of 3/5 feel. 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 da 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 da. I practiced that feel on the strum plate. It was different than my existing phrases. This pattern is a little syncopated and is all about descending. So this was new for me, and I needed to practice for it to feel natural. I listened to several built-in rhythms. Blues shuffle, it almost works, but it didn't really fit that 3-5 feeling. New Age without auto chord turned on, it could do, but it meant more work for my right hand if I turn off auto chord. How about the bossa nova? Well, almost, but it competes with the 3-5 rhythm in spots. The cha-cha on cartridge 1, rhythm number 5, felt the best to me and worked so well I didn't have to play the 3-5 phrase all the time. I put it all together into a one-page song sheet where I list the rhythm. Q1 means cartridge 1. Number 5, cha-cha. The moderate tempo, 3 taps up past the number 6 light. The strum plate instrument, piano of course. My transposition of 2 half steps down from C, because I sang in a different key than Elton John did. A note to turn off chord plus for this song, and then the chords and the verses follow after that with colors to help me read it at a glance. The strum plate action has no written instructions. That's all whatever my right hand feels like doing, which is what makes practicing those phrases, and now my new 3-5 phrase, so important. I can now have fun playing your song with my Q-chord, and I've learned some new skills along the way.